welcome to Confused Reviews, where Cartoon Drawing reviews movies, and I love Christmas. The constant commercials about soon-to-be outdated technology, being with your crazy and weird family, and all the cans of Coke. But I love Christmas movies even more. Home Alone, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, and best of them all, Die Hard. Yes, Die Hard is considered by many to be one of, if not the best Christmas movie ever made, myself included. But it, strangely enough, has one of the weirdest histories of any action movie. So today, I'm going to be doing something I don't normally do. I'm going to be doing an in-depth history of how Die Hard came to be. So, let's hop into it. To many people's dismay, this movie is actually based on a book. Well, a sequel book. You see, Roderick Thorp wrote a novel entitled The Detective back in 1966 that was adapted to a film starring the one and only Frank Sinatra in 1968. Due to the mild success of that film, Thorp was told to write another book because, money and whatnot. He wrote Nothing Lasts Forever. That sounds like it should be either an Eminem song or a James Bond movie. Anyways, Sinatra was too old at the time and passed on the movie. So you're probably thinking, that's it, Sinatra was too old, so they scrapped the idea of a movie. Well, no, it then shifted over to being considered to be a sequel to 1985's Commando, starring Arnie himself. However, this was before he decided not to do every sequel that landed on his agent's desk, and declined because he didn't want to do sequels. So, after every middle-aged male action star in Hollywood was offered the role, from Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, Harrison Ford, Burt Reynolds, Don Johnson, and even Richard Gere, eventually Bruce Willis, with a full head of hair, was offered the role that was once John Matrix, but was then changed to John McClane. So, let's take a look back and see how great this film really is, and how much ass one New York cop can really kick. This is Die Hard. So the film begins with some guy noticing that John McClane doesn't like flying.
You don't like flying, do you?
Don't change the subject.
No, not plop here. Cut to the real movie.
You don't like flying, do you?
We also meet our badass protagonist, played brilliantly by Bruce Willis, who is told the secret to surviving air travel.
You want to know the secret to surviving air travel?
Don't fly at all?
After you get where you're going, take off your shoes and your socks. Then you walk around on the rug barefoot and make fists with your toes.
Fists with your toes?
Fists with your toes.
What? Anyways, the man notices that McClane has a gun, and he informs him that he's a cop. Pre-9/11 air travel, when you could bring a loaded firearm onto a plane and not cause the world to implode on itself. It was a simpler time. The title then slams onto the screen. Man, that was a cool effect. So cool that the trailer editor must have decided to use it too. 2 minutes in and I'm already pumped. After John gets his luggage, we cut over to the Nakatomi building and we meet Holly, played by Bonnie Bedelia, and the asshole you love to hate, Harry Ellis, played by Hart Bochner, who is trying his ass off to get into Holly's pants. Holly then calls her house and her daughter picks up and just watch.
McClane residence, Lucy McClane speaking.
Cuteness overload. God, I gotta stop doing that. John then finds his limo driver, Argyle, the coolest motherfucker to ever drive a limo, played by Devario White. Well, scratch that. It's, his first time driving one. Still badass, though. They drive towards the building, and Argyle informs John of all the groundbreaking tech inside the limo.
CD, CB, TV, telephone, full bar, VHS.
Man, all this shit and more is found in one touchpad in modern cars. Crazy shit. The two chat about how John and Holly are basically separated and how he can't leave New York and all that jazz. But it's soon interrupted by a kick-ass Christmas song.
Hey, gotta work. You got any Christmas music? This is Christmas music.
You know, that's the same argument I use when someone tries to tell me this isn't a Christmas movie. Argyle tells John he'll wait in the garage to see if he gets lucky or strikes out. What a nice guy. He heads inside and even has to type Holly's maiden name into the computer. Geez, she must hate using his name and her own because when John clicks on the A, it turns into an E. Don't you think that's a little overkill, Holly? Or maybe it's just a mistake in the movie. I like my theory better. He hops on an elevator and makes it to where the action is. The party is. The action comes later. He scopes out the place when he's ambushed by a promiscuous individual. He finally meets up with Mr. Takagi, played by the late James Shigetti, who takes John to find Holly when we walk in on Ellis, doing his taxes, and the two are finally introduced. He might also have the greatest asshole laugh of all time.
Who is he?
He's an asshole, sir.
I know that.
And at long last, John and Holly are together again. Too bad she's going to turn right around and be a bitch, but you know. Oh, and Ellis insists that John is shown the watch that he got for her. Prick. At the same time, however, a mysterious truck is pulling up to the building. Wonder whom that could be. Holly and John continue to fight because, in all honesty, she's kind of a bitch, but I digress. The truck from before finally pulls in, as well as another car filled with more baddies, including Carl and Theo. Oh, and they kill the guy at the security desk and literally kick him down. Theo locks all the doors and the rest of the terrorists ready their attack. The rest of the terrorists include Tony, Eddie, Fritz, Heinrich, Uli, Franco, Alexander, Christoph, Marco, James, and of course, one of the best villains in movie history, Hans Gruber, played by the late, great Alan Rickman. Oh, and sorry I didn't name all the real names of all the terrorists. If I did, we'd be here all day, so here's a list of them in case you're curious. The terrorists begin carrying out their plan while John McClane sits in the bathroom making fists with his toes. I am so glad I started this show and was able to say such an amazing sentence. They make it to the 30th floor and look at that bastard smile. God, he's great. Anyways, John has his cop instincts kick in and is armed with nothing but a pistol and a wife beater, but makes his escape up the stairs. Also with no shoes on. So, good advice, dickhead on the plane. Now he's fucked. Moral of the story, don't listen to mental people on planes, in case you're ever stuck in a building and it's invaded by German terrorists. He tries to think of a plan while Hans tells the people of the party what his is. He then asks where Takagi is, and I personally have two theories about this scene. One, he knows exactly what Takagi looks like and is just toying with him until he reveals himself. Or two, he got a shit ton of info on the guy and didn't manage to get one picture of the man. So he's either a brilliant mastermind or a badass who is a little bit shitty at getting information. He then takes Takagi upstairs while John watches the plan being executed. Theo then asks him for the codes to the vault, and he goes on and on about how it won't help because it's only one of 7 locks. Oh, and Han says he's here for the $640 million in bearer bonds in the vault. Awesome. John, of course, is eavesdropping on the whole thing while Takagi reiterates that it's only one of 7 locks, and Han says,
"Then there's no reason not to tell it to us."
he's right. Just tell him.
I'm telling you, you're just gonna have to kill me.
What?
Okay.
What? Takagi, are you stupid? Well, you're dead, but still, you could have just told him, because then you wouldn't be suffering from a terrible case of being fucking dead. But the movie continues. Rest in peace, Takagi. You seem like a nice guy. McClane sees all of this and gives the same reaction the audience does as he moves and makes an accidental noise, revealing his position. He escapes, for now, and they continue executing their plan. Hans and Theo find the vault, and it looks like RoboCop's shower, and Theo tells him how the 7th lock is not able to be hacked open. Okay, skip ahead in the movie. He does get it open, so fuck it. John tries to be clever and pull the fire alarm. However, Hans is a little bit more clever and causes the cop to retreat. Damn. Tony eventually comes to the floor John is hided out on and promises this.
I promise I won't hurt you.
Okay, now I'm serious. Come out and I won't kill you. Got you. Now come here, you little fucker. John outsmarts him with a giant saw and puts a gun to his head. Tony also says this golden line.
You won't hurt me.
Yeah? Why not?
Because you're a policeman. There are rules for policemen.
Yeah, tell that to the hundreds of people cops have beaten and killed. Moving on. I also would have handled this a lot differently. Drop it, dickhead.
You won't hurt me.
Oh yeah? Yeah, suck on that, biatch. The two then tussle for a bit, and John's stunt double kicks his ass down the stairs, breaking Tony's neck. 1 down, 12 to go. Oh, and over to the official Confused Reviews Vault lock check. Lock number 1 has been disabled. More on this coming up. John raids Tony's bag and finds all the normal shit you'd find in a terrorist bag. Assault weaponry, lighter, and a walkie-talkie. Oh, and he looks at his ID, and he's going by the name of Richard. And I think we can all agree, he is a giant dick. I'm sorry, I had to. It was right there. Unfortunately, Tony's shoes don't fit John, so he must proceed without footwear. He instead hops out of the elevator, leaving behind a little message.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
You know what's sad is they actually sell these. Is it wrong I want to buy one? Anyways, John makes a few cliff notes on his arm as someone hops in the elevator. Back in the office, Carl is not too happy with John at the moment, being he killed his brother and all, but whatever. John, however, isn't fazed by killing some random terrorist and rushes to the roof to call the police. The police, however, aren't too cooperative, thinking it's a prank, and John has the greatest comeback of all time.
Attention, whoever you are, this channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
No fucking shit, lady! Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
That needs to be on a t-shirt. Jesus, it's great. Fritz, Carl, and Franco make it to the roof, however, and force John to jump around for a bit and run back into the building. The dispatch's stupidity is thankfully our blessing, as down the road on the ground we head to Sergeant Al Powell, played by the lovable Reginald VelJohnson, who is off buying Twinkies as we speak. Ah, Powell, you big old teddy bear. Back on the roof, John is trying to squeeze his way through a moving fan and is surprisingly successful. Badass. We now arrive to one of my personal favorite scenes, where John uses the gun he got to go down the elevator shaft into one of the vents. John, however, being the total badass he is, breaks the gun strap and falls down the chute until landing onto one of the openings. Even though it would have broken all of his fingers and he would have fallen to his death, I still love this scene. And it's one of the most suspenseful and heart-pounding scenes in the movie. You're all like, is he going to fall? And then you're like, oh shit, he made it! Oh my god, what a badass! It's a fun time. He crawls into one of the vents and sarcastically says this golden line.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Taking the time to make this one-liner was kind of stupid, however, because it gave Carl ample time to find his current position. Carl quickly runs to him and thankfully doesn't catch him, and then just moves on. Powell finally arrives and heads inside for a closer look. However lovable and huggable Powell is, he's pretty much blind to everything that's going on. So John smashes a chair into a window. John does make a lot of noise, however, and causes Marco to run in and duck just to have him shoot Heinrich. And there goes another one. Marco gives him some good fucking advice.
Next time you have a chance to kill someone, don't hesitate.
But decides not to use it himself and gets himself blown away. He should have used the advice given in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
When you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk.
Thanks for the advice.
Back on the ground again, John decides if Powell won't open his eyes, he'll do it for him, and drops a fucking body down onto the car, causing him to freak out and crash the car. I think that got his attention. Nice work.
Welcome to the party, pal!
It's pronounced Powell. Just kidding, I know he doesn't know his name yet. The cops finally start coming, but it doesn't seem to faze Hans, but John McClane does. That being John is a total fucking badass, and that he's got 3 of his men already, but whatever. John and Hans chat for a bit, John quipping the whole way through, and mentions Rambo, which would have been hella ironic if Stallone ended up playing John McClane, but enough of that, because it's time to unveil the greatest action movie quote of all time.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yeah, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! Okay, alright, I gotta calm down. We then bounce over into another subplot about a TV reporter, Richard Thornburg, played by Dickless himself, William Atherton.
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Eat it, Harvey!
Oh, and Powell and McClane finally communicate. Yes. They chat for a bit, and McClane tells Powell to call him Roy. Like, Roy Burns? No, seriously, hear me out. They both kill a shitload of people, aren't known by the opposing side as their real selves until the movie's almost over, both kill a shitload of people, and most of all, both called Roy. Now I know it's just a funny thing an obsessed horror fan like me can conjure up, but it's only a joke, so calm down. If you haven't seen part 5 of the Friday the 13th series, you're probably really confused, so let's just move on. Back to reality, or the movie, we also meet Dwayne Robinson, played by Paul Gleason. Powell then tells Robinson the story thus far, and how he could be a cop because he can spot a phony ID.
Like being able to spot a phony ID. Jesus Christ, Powell! Could be a fucking bartender for all we know.
TV's here.
Fun fact, Bruce Willis was actually a bartender before acting, so that makes this line so much better. Even though Dickless here doesn't do much for the heroes for this movie, he at least informs Argyle that the building has been taken over by a bunch of German assholes. He also has that oh shit moment, which is great. The group gets prepared for the police coming inside, when Uli takes a Crunch bar. Crunch, official candy of 80s German terrorists everywhere. The cops try to get in, but they suck and get shot in the knees and fall back. Great job, idiots. The group then decides just to shoot an RPG at the truck instead. Too damn easy. John then retaliates by throwing Hans explosives down the elevator chute. Good, and in the words of McClane himself, fuck it. shit! That was an explosion. Kind of blew me out of time and space and everything. Man, that was weird. Powell and McClane try to have another chat when Robinson takes the mic and tries telling John about how everything is covered in glass. Did I read that right? Who gives a shit about glass?
Glass? Who gives a shit about glass? Who the fuck is this?
Exactly, what the fuck? 1988. The year Carl Winslow teams up with Principal Vernon to help Bruce Willis fight Sylvester Snape and be bombarded by Walter Peck. Crazy shit, man. John also roasts Dwayne's entire career.
I'm not the one who just got butt-fucked on national TV, Dwayne.
Argyle just summed up the audience's entire reaction. God, McClane's great. Ellis then decides to be a complete moron and negotiate with Hans. He's dead. Thankfully, Gruber is a sarcastic asshole about the whole thing. I love it.
You're very perceptive. You're amazing. You figured this all out already.
Man, look at that shit-eating grin. He's gonna get shot in the fucking face in a minute. He deserves it. Once again, John and Al try to chat and be relatable characters when Han busts in and shows him that he knows his real name, all because Ellis is a fucking idiot. Great work.
Hey, John boy.
I just cringed so hard. Ellis tries to talk John out of killing the rest of them, but man, he sucks at his job and, well, doesn't do jack shit. Oh, and guys, when Ellis here said Coke, judging by what we saw earlier, I don't think he meant the kind in a can. Capiche? John tries to get Hans to back off, but it doesn't work. At least it was Ellis and no one we really care about. Robinson also tries to get rid of Powell, but he ain't having it.
No, sir. You couldn't drag me away.
Damn straight, Al. That's why we love you. Hans then shovels a bunch of shit to the cops about releasing some random terrorists he doesn't even know to get them off their backs for a bit. It's actually not a bad idea. Oh, and an update on the Confused Review's vault lock check. We're 6 locks down and only one final one to go. Back in a moment. The FBI then arrive and one of the Fratelli brothers is one of the agents. Weird. Anyways, Hans goes up to find the detonators himself and he hops right in front of John. Ooh, this should be interesting. Being the quick thinker he is, he throws on an accent to throw off John and tricks the New York cop. But as great as it is, you can still tell it's Hans.
You don't work for Nakatomi.
John must have known that because he gave him an empty gun and Hans then tries to shoot him. Haha, John smarter than you. Well, the victory's short-lived, however, as more bad guys come up to save Hans. Thankfully, John gets Alexander right off the bat and runs away. Our shoeless protagonist is pretty fucked, however, as Hans instructions to shoot the glass and John must run all over it to escape. Ow, fuck. That looks like it hurts. Maybe you should have taken the shoes of the last 3 terrorists you killed. Would have helped. McClane then crawls into the bathroom with his bloody feet and tries to pull out the glass. Ouch. Ooh, John and Al talk again, and Al admits...
I shot a kid.
What?
It was dark, I couldn't see him. He had a ray gun, looked real enough.
Al, I love you, buddy, but Walter Peck here is listening to your every move. You might not want to be yelling that kind of information. I can see the headline now. Hero's moral support shoots kid in past. So be careful, Al. And for our final update on the Confused Review's vault lock check, they got the damn thing open. Merry motherfucking Christmas. Unfortunately, as cool as it is, it's still just pieces of paper. But it's still badass. John then tells Powell an emotional speech to tell his wife, but he shoots that shit down and says he'll tell him his goddamn self. Because he's gonna make it. If I ever get trapped in a building with a bunch of German terrorists, I'd want Al Powell to be my moral support too. He then runs to the roof and realizes the roof's gonna blow. Carl then finally catches up with him and they duke it out like men, beating each other like there's no tomorrow. Oh, and Hans finally realizes Holly is John's wife and says,
Mrs. McClane. Honors to make your acquaintance.
I think I just pissed myself a little. All the hostages are taken to the soon-to-blow roof while John and Carl continue to fight. On the other hand, Hans is picking up his goodies and threatens Holly. Awesome. Back to the fight, John throws a chain around his neck and throws the fucker away. That's why we love him. Agent Johnson and Agent Johnson begin to head to the roof while John kills Uli and finds out about Holly's fate. And to get the hostages' attention, he shoots off a few rounds just to be shot by Agent Johnson and Johnson. Because they're dicks. Ha! That's 2 in 1 episode. He then makes one of the coolest decisions of all time as he ties a fire hose around his waist and jumps off in slow motion while the building fucking explodes. He then shoots the window open and goes back inside, just in time. Then, because why not, the helicopter explodes as well as the roof. Whoa. John then decides it's finally time to face off against Hans. Oh goody. Meanwhile in the garage, Argyle decides he's not letting Theo get out, so he slams the limo into the side of the fake ambulance van. Great job, buddy. John, badly beaten and bleeding, walks over to Hans, ready to kill the bastard. Hans holds a gun to Holly's head and therefore makes John drop his gun. He didn't, however, count on John having a makeshift duct tape holster holding the key to his defeat. One pistol with 2 bullets. He kills Eddie and even has time for a one-liner.
Happy trails, Hans.
Hans, however, isn't done yet, holding on to Holly's watch given by Ellis, until John unclips it and he falls to his death in super slow motion. Another fun fact, Alan Rickman agreed to do this stunt for real once and was told he'd be dropped on 3. The crew, however, went on 2 and dropped him early to catch this gem of his actual genuine reaction. Good on you, filmmakers. I'm proud. And as the building continues to explode, Holly and John emerge, and he finally gets the chance to meet Powell in person. Aw, how cute. But just when you think it's over, Carl's corpse, not really, comes back to seek just an ounce more of revenge. Al, however, breaks his no-gun rule and shoots the sumbitch on sight. You deserve a Twinkie-shaped medal for that, you awesome, awesome man. Argyle also crashes through the closed gate to take our protagonist home. Oh, and Holly punches Dickless. Good for her. And for those assholes who say this movie isn't a Christmas movie, our tale comes to a close with this classic song.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
And that was Die Hard. And you already know, it's awesome. There isn't actually much to say that hasn't been said before. Bruce Willis, Reginald VelJohnson, Alan Rickman, and the rest of the cast are phenomenal. The action is excellent, the score is good, the characters are realistic, and you actually care about them because they can actually be hurt. The plot is a perfect action movie setup. That is also judged by how many Die Hard ripoffs there actually are out there. I mean, look at all of them. And I love every minute of this movie. Any negative I could say, like the fact that there are 13 terrorists instead of the 12 they proclaim, or that the fact that the cops are morons, are beyond nitpicks. I love this movie, and besides T2, this is my favorite action movie of all time, and one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm undeniably giving Die Hard an A+, because it's amazing, kicks ass, and gets better every time you watch it. Wow. That's it. 20 episodes. I guess that's it. I know just what to do.
Luke! Luke!
Dino? From the Late Late Horror Show? What are you doing here?
I'm here to tell you you can't stop now. You've traveled too far, Luke.
But I finished. All 20.
More. More episodes. Do this for me, no? Do this for me. Because me, you've been friends for a long time. Do this for me, Luke. Do not stop.
But I was gonna walk off into the sunset and end it there, just like the end of the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Luke, maybe someday. But you have more to do. More movies to watch, to review. Warn people about the bad. Encourage the viewing of the good. Isn't that what you used to do? Isn't this what it's all about, Luke?
I guess I could make like a second season.
Exactly, Luke. Now do it, no? Now get to it. Get the job done. Go to a second season. You no stop.
Alright, I will. Hey, nice Yoda impression, by the way. He's right. I have more in me than just 20. I'm Confused Reviews. Thanks for sticking with me these last 20 episodes. In the words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back, and thanks for watching.